of Al-Hizbul. And I will go over and share the screen here. And where are you? Okay, you should see this up on your screen now. And today is Saturday, and we will read today's part, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, adada khalqihi wa rida nafsihi wa midada kalimatihi allati la tanfad. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi kama tuhibbu wa tarda. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. قل اللهم مالك الملك تؤتي الملك من تشاء وتنزع الملك ممن تشاء وتعز من تشاء وتذل من تشاء بيدك الخير إنك على كل شيء قدير. تولج الليل في النهار وتولج النهار في الليل وتخرج الحي من الميت وتخرج الميت من الحي وترزق من تشاء بغير حساب. رب هب لي من لدنك ذرية طيبة إنك سميع الدعاء. ربنا آمنا بما أنزلت واتبعنا الرسول فاكتبنا مع الشاهدين. ربنا ما خلقت هذا باطلا سبحانك فقنا عذاب النار. ربنا إنك من تدخل النار فقد أخزيته وما للظالمين من أنصار. ربنا إننا سمعنا مناديا ينادي للإيمان أن آمنوا بربكم فآمنا. ربنا فاغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا وتوفنا مع الأبرار. ربنا وآتنا ما وعدتنا على رسلك ولا تخزنا يوم القيامة إنك لا تخلف الميعاد. رب اجعلني مقيم الصلاة ومن ذريتي ربنا وتقبل دعاء. ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب. رب ارحمهما كما ربياني صغيرا. رب زدني علما. رب أني مسني الضر وأنت أرحم الراحمين. رب لا تذرني فردا وأنت خير الوارثين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. رب إني لما أنزلت إلي من خير فقير. أعوذ بالله أن أكون من الجاهلين. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. اللهم أنت ربي لا إله إلا أنت خلقتني وأنا عبدك وأنا على عهدك ووعدك ما استطعت. أعوذ بك من شر ما صنعت. أبوء لك بنعمتك علي وأبوء بذنبي فاغفر لي فإنه لا يغفر الذنوب إلا أنت. اللهم إني أسألك من خير ما سألك منه نبيك محمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وآله وسلم وأعوذ بك من شر ما استعاذ منه نبيك محمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وآله وسلم. أنت المستعان وعليك البلاغ ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وإمام المتقين وعلى آله وصحبه برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Amen. And that is our reading for Saturday, alhamdulillah. And we will just skip right over to the 21st juz. Okay, so 21st juz, what are some things that we learn? Some of the important points of Surah Al-Ankabut mentioned in the 21st juz are as follows. In the first verse of the 21st juz, Utlu ma uhiya ilayka min al-kitab wa aqim as-salah, which is the 45th ayah of Surah Al-Ankabut, is a command which is giving to make tilawah of the Quran, recite the Quran, and to be punctual in your salawat. And the benefit of the salah is mentioned that it prevents from evil and immorality. All right, two benefits: evil and immorality, fahsha and munkar. Both of these are mentioned, that these are some of the benefits of performing your salah. And the importance is really huge, that a person always prays their prayer. And there's many benefits. This is obviously mentioned there. Likewise, those that have strayed from the path of the pious predecessors, the first thing they would do is فَخَلَفَ مِن بَعْدِهِمْ خَلْفٌ أَضَاعُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَاتَّبَعُوا الشَّهَوَاتِ. They gave up and they abandoned their prayers and they fulfilled their desires. Okay. And one of the scholars has mentioned that salah, there's a great benefit in salah. There's few actually that are found. Three qualities are found: ikhlas, fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and dhikrullah, which is the Quran. Okay. Now, obviously, most people are unable to come to the masjid to perform their prayers. However, greater reward is found for the men to be performing their prayers at the masjid. And so this is something which the men folks should take more care of, especially once this lockdown is lifted, inshallah. Also, we know something that we learned from this is that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was an ummi. He didn't know how to read or write. Yet the followers of falsehood would have fallen into doubt that perhaps he attained his knowledge from other heavenly scriptures. Right? So people have cast these types of things in recent history as well as before about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yet, if you ponder over the verses of the Quran, a person really, it's impossible for a person to accuse Rasulullah of authorship or to even have doubts about the Quran. Earlier today, I had a program with our Kingston youth, and we talked about the authenticity of the Quran and how it's impossible that such a book is not original, or that this book is fake, or that there are inconsistencies in the Quran. It's really only a person who is obstinate and ignorant and a fool, really, that would doubt in the Quran. Okay. And the last ayah of Ankabut is really important as well to mention, in preparation for akhirah, in preparation for everything, a person needs to strive. And so a person needs to work hard, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens up avenues for that person. So it shows us that we have to work hard. Next surah is Surah Al-Rum. Surah Al-Rum is a Makki surah. It has 60 ayat and consists of 6 rukus. One of the great things of this surah is the miraculous nature of this surah is that it actually foretells of an incident. And this is what I also shared with the youth today, of one of the ways that proves the authenticity of the Quran is that it brings original material, it brings things that were not told before. And this is one of those incidents in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned غُلِبَتِ الرُّومِ, that the Romans will suffer defeat في أدنى الأرض, in the lower part of the land, وَهُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِ غَلَبِهِمْ سَيَغْلِبُونَ, but after they're defeated will actually be the winners. In how long? في بضع سنين, in a few years. The word bid'a in Arabic denotes and can signify a number of years, ranging from 3 to 9. Not less than 3, usually not more than 9. So it's a number between 3 and 9. It's known as bid'a, fi bid'a sinin. So in a few years. When we say few, it means a few numbers. But if you mention as fi bid'a sinin, and in this way, with using the word bid'a, then that refers to any number of years between 3 and 9. And you have to also understand this in context that the Persian Empire was the superpower of the time, and the Roman Empire was next after them, and they were always at war with one another. And if the Romans suffer a defeat, it's really no big deal because the Persians are very powerful. But this news that after suffering a defeat from an army such as the Persian army, an empire as powerful as the Persian Empire, right? Then how can a person actually ever get back up and then go on to fight them again, but go on to beat the Persians? So when Ubay bin Khalaf was told about this verse, who was not a Muslim, he really was so staunch that this is just hocus pocus bakwas nonsense, that he challenged Abu Bakr and he made a bet with Abu Bakr. And Abu Bakr made a bet with him. He says, okay, if you don't think this is true, then let's make a bet. So Abu Bakr said, okay, if this comes true within in 3 years, the bet was in 3 years, that if this happens, then in that case, I will give you 10 camels. And if this does not happen in 3 years, he's telling Abu Bakr, then you will give me 10 camels. So when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was told by Abu Bakr, this is the deal, this is the bet. Obviously, this was a time when betting was not prohibited, or the command had not come yet. And Rasulullah said to him, why don't you tell him that 9 years, not 3 years, but 9 years. Again, this was at the point, it's almost inconceivable that this would ever transpire, right? It's almost as inconceivable that Bitcoin would reach up to $70,000, dollars, like almost unbelievable. It's like that's going to happen. But then here we are. So here we see that Rasulullah tells Abu Bakr, go back to Ubay and tell him, you know what, from 3 years, bump it up to 9 years. And from 10 camels, let's wager even higher and we'll go up to 100 camels. Okay, done deal. Because according to Ubay bin Khalaf, this was just, for him it was nonsensical. It didn't make sense. However, what happens is that in 7 years, the Romans went on to defeat the Persian Empire. And this actually came into fruition. And the news of this defeat of the Persian Empire by the Roman Empire was reached to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, with 313 Sahaba in the Battle of Badr, had defeated the Quraysh of Makkah of 1,000 strong. So the news had reached at that time. So there was a double happiness. Nasr min Allah wa fathun qareeb. Ja'a nasr min Allah wa fathun qareeb is the ayah that is mentioned, that it was meant to convey a double victory for the Muslims, that they were right here, that the Quran proved to be true, as well as the defeat of the Muslims over Quraysh. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned some proofs of his existence, some of the signs. And in this ayah, he mentioned 7 signs. Allah created, number 1, one thing from its opposite, that life and death are opposites of each other. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through his complete power, creates a living human being from a drop of sperm, a chicken from an egg, a tree from a seed, and vice versa. Right? So this is something, the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah created man from lifeless soul. And man refers either to Adam alayhi or who was directly created from soil, or every human being, because his bodily and dietary needs are created from the soil. Allah then mentions the creation of love between a husband and wife, that one feels that they are part of each other's bodies, whereas in some cases they have not yet been even introduced to each other before marriage. Then he mentions the creation of the heavens, the skies, whatever's in between them. He also mentions the creation of complexions, that someone speaks one language, someone speaks another language, as well as the complexions of people, some dark while others red, etc. Then mentions sleep, that it's a sign. He grants man rest during the day and night. Man's body is such a machine that if it does not get time for rest during the busy day, then this machine will get damaged, right? And Allah mentions it over and over again in different places in the Quran as well. The importance of sleep and the importance of how our bodies are required to sleep. Otherwise, it doesn't function. Like, I mean, look at most days in Ramadan. A person stays up all night. By Fajr time, they're like zombies, right? They're like unable to keep their eyes open by even Fajr time. And so imagine if a person stays up for more and more. Yes, you can train your body, but even then, if to the lowest point, a person still needs a little bit of rest, even if it's a few hours, right? We know of the great scholars of the past, they would survive off of like 2-3 hours. Most of them would even just survive on the qaylula, which is the afternoon nap, and wouldn't sleep at nighttime at all. So maybe 2 hours max, maybe 3 hours, even if you want to push it. Otherwise, an hour, 2 hour tops, 3 hours really maxed out. This is the system for us creations. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Ayat al-Kursi, "La ta'khudhu sinah wa la nawm." There's no rest, not even like, how we kind of just start dozing off. That doesn't happen with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nor does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala fall into deep slumber, right? Allah is not like his creations. that are dependent. We are dependent. Sleeping shows you're dependent on your sleep, on rest. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not dependent on anything. Then Allah mentions the lightning strikes in the sky, due to which fear is created in the heart, as well as hope is created. And then it rains, and then it gives life to that land. And then the perfect system of the heavens and the earth is mentioned, right? None of them collapse. They're all in their perfect orbit, moving about. Okay, what else do we see? Luqman alayhi story is mentioned, which is a Makki surah, 34 ayat, 4 rukus. You know, a lot of lessons to be learned from the story of Luqman alayhi. You know, do not ascribe partners with Allah. Shirk is a great dhulm. You know, nothing is hidden from Allah, from the knowledge of Allah, and everything will be brought forth on the day of judgment. Every sin, no matter how small, no matter how, in which way, whatever hidden, it will be, you know, it's known. And then he mentions a few forms of turning towards Allah have been mentioned: performing salah in a perfect manner, inviting people to good actions and preventing them from evil actions, then being patient over difficulties, advises his son to stay away from pride and ostentation. And his fifth advice here is turning his son's attention to good character, right? Having good character by walking in moderation in your mode of walking, and lowering your voice. Okay. Who was Luqman alayhi salam? He was not a prophet. He was, however, a wise person. Scholars tell us that he was given the choice between prophethood and wisdom, and he chose wisdom, which actually shows his wisdom, as the burden of prophethood is not very easy. It's not easy at all, actually. It's a very, very difficult task to fulfill. And that's why Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you know, throughout his entire life was struggling with that mission, that he always wanted to fulfill that mission, right? And fastaqim kama umirt, and other ayat like people not accepting iman, la'allaka bakhi'un nafsaka alla yakunu mu'minin. So it's a very difficult task. Surah Sajda is a Makki surah, 30 ayat, 3 rukus. This is a surah which Prophet ﷺ almost regularly would recite on in Fajr Salah, in the first rakah, and the second rakah he would recite Surah Al-Dahr, also known as Surah Al-Insan. So this is that surah mentions, you know, again, the creation of Insan, as well as other lessons. And then we get into Surah Al-Ahzab, which discusses social etiquettes, Sharia law, right? Sharia law, right? Sharia is a law. Mentions some battles as well, which is the Battle of Ahzab, the Battle of Banu Qurayza. In these 2 battles, mention is made of the hypocrites and their actions. And so this is just in a nutshell, a very broad overview of this juice here. So hopefully this was beneficial, and Jazakumullah khairan. Inshallah, we'll see you all tomorrow at 11 a.m. for our daily Quran reading. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.